Rosee. She inserts herself into every possible drama imaginable. And if she can't find drama, you better believe she's gonna create it. Personally, I would think that living the way she's chosen to live would be dramatic enough. She can barely walk, and I mean barely. She sits more frequently than I take a breath. She's always insulting her audience, claiming victimhood, and making accusations against someone for something. She shops around for diagnoses that she, like Amber, believes excuses her poor behaviors. But behind it all, there are two parents enabling her to do it. Beyond the enabling, the complacency. They are actually the foundation of the chaos. Without their home, their income, their support, and their defense of their 34-year-old toddler daughter should not behave the way that she does. So in this video, I thought that we could talk about how even adult children like Rosee need to be treated as adults and given adult responsibilities, adult expectations, adult consequences, and be made to stay within the confines of acceptable adult boundaries. Anything else creates those with beast-like traits, like the one in particular we know named Rosee. I've spent what I admit is an embarrassing amount of time watching Rosee's content, and there's always a common denominator. It's her parents. It didn't take very long before I realized that Rosee is not an independent woman simply living in her parents' inherited home. She's a 600-pound toddler. Mommy and Daddy wait on her hand and foot. They allow and even encourage behaviors that initiate a domino effect that eventually lead to their daughter crashing out because she got caught lying, exaggerating, scheming, or acting inappropriately. Her mother even admits that when Rosalind was younger, she did get in trouble. Sort of. You see, Mama Jean said that Rosee lied often and was always really good at it. And she sometimes thought that her daughter was lying when she wasn't, because she lied so often and so convincingly, she just couldn't tell the difference. And that sort of punishment, she took Rosie's books away. And I cannot help but wonder, if an adult child is living in your home, at what point does the parent's responsibilities end? At what point does it cross lines when the parents construct and help engineer their daughter's most chaotic public moments? Because their support is in fact facilitating Rosie's unraveling. They are enabling their daughter, sitting silently, pridefully, while she makes a fool of herself, and then defending her when that foolishness is called out. I think her parents have always overly sheltered her. In my opinion, they continue to do so today because they fear her failures if she stands alone. I think both of her parents believe, or at least worry, that on her own, Rosee would not be okay. She'd either face hunger or homelessness or otherwise just not have the self-reliance or ability to survive without them, despite the fact that she's going on 35. So they coddle her and they treat her like a spoiled brat, believing that she's completely incapable of accomplishing anything without them. And I think that's why they applaud her failures and dress them up like wins. It doesn't make it okay, though. I think they've always been very, very easy on Rosee and always done too much in the way of giving to her, but too little in allowing her to develop self-reliance or self-assurance. Most of these successes Rosee claims today, or the bragging rights she claims today, are really not hers because her parents played such a big hand in those as well. But ultimately, when we overly coddle our young children, I think we develop them into big children who accept little accountability and are dependent on aging parents continuing to provide everything from basic living necessities to moral affirmation, even when it's not true. So there was this live stream where Rosee was once again reliving her past, the past that she regularly says was outright hell, the childhood that she survived, and a conversation got started about her mother wrongfully punishing her as a young child. Well, it turns out that Mama Jean on camera and that quiet, mousy, almost dead inside voice said that she remembered being at her wit's end, so she boxed up her daughter's books. Rosee was a teenager. Rosee then proceeds to tell her mother how unfair her youth was because she was regularly, wrongfully punished. And then Jean said that it's because her daughter lied so much and with such ease and so convincingly that she, Jean, could not tell the difference between when Rosee was lying or being honest about anything.
I was at the point where I didn't care anymore. And it worked though.
I know, but like books to me are closest to God. Like library,
you were mad about doing it.
Reading a book is like breathing that everyone should be able to do. So you really must have taken.
You know what? Actually, what it was what I remember, because I remember thinking it was such an insane reaction at the time. Because I think what it was it was like an accumulation of things. Like it was just you were getting to a point where you were like you were just mad.
Oh.
I think it had to do with the thing of like
we were so
I probably got caught out in a lie, right?
Yeah.
And so. Because it was also from my perspective, I felt so much frustration because there was a lot of times where you thought I was lying and I wasn't. That happened a lot, to be honest.
So you were very good at it.
The thing is that old habits die hard, and still to this day, her daughter is a liar. In fact, her daughter lies, schemes, exaggerates, and is so unbelievably lazy, she seeks out diagnoses so that those behaviors can be excused away instead of just working on herself. And maybe you think, oh no, her poor parents, or at least her poor mother, because the reality is that her dad has often been moderating Rosee's live streams, including those where Rosee went into detail about sexual acts that she had done, even including a threesome in those activities. But poor mom, right? Poor, sweet, quiet Jean. Well, not exactly, because Jean enables Rosee to such an extent that she's basically building Rosee up every day to continue being exactly who and what she is now. A 600-pound, hateful, entitled toddler rolling around the kitchen in an office chair, too lazy to stand up and walk, eating for 2 hours straight, barely stopping to breathe, being paid to glorify her addiction while Mommy Dearest gets the soda for her and shreds the chicken so her daughter with aches and pains in her hands can then gorge on it. It's pathetic, and it's not just Rosee. I think it's pathetic that her mother encourages her daughter to continue on a path that's leading to her cold, pre-dug hole, and it's just a sick when mom is smiling proudly in the background after her daughter reaches out to tabloid or gossip magazines, sharing stories that are increasingly difficult to prove, or inserting herself into documentaries that have nothing to do with her as a so-called expert in a field she claims she was part of for 6 years and didn't even know it. You really just cannot make this stuff up. Rosee had been on Phoebe, had a 6-year relationship with her boyfriend from there, and didn't even know he was a feeder. So, how is she an expert in feederism? Rosee's life is actually hilarious, but it's not just because it reads like a low-budget sitcom. It's because as ridiculous as Rosee looks carrying on about something being fresh, while another thing is a vibe, her parents are paying the bills for her to sit on her ass all day, complaining about how badly her body hurts, and neither her nor her parents can figure out why. Well, I can. I can give them 600 reasons. Rosalind Jean is the way she continues to be because her parents support her fully, defend her stupidly, and enable her foolishly, while she literally and metaphorically digs her own grave online, receiving backlash and criticism because it seems everyone can see what's happening besides them. I think the best thing that they could do for their daughter, first and foremost, is to tell her to stand up. Stop sitting on that office chair all damn day, rolling around in the kitchen live streaming while eating what's got to be 10 pounds of food. And that's just what she shows us. I think they should give her adult responsibilities with adult consequences if those responsibilities are not met. The parents do spend a lot of time in Norway because of her dad's job, but being away does not mean being complacent nor complicit in your adult child eating herself to over a quarter ton because mom and dad failed to set boundaries that they forced Rosee to stay within. As parents, in my opinion, of course, just because we love our children, it does not mean that we should support them when they are wrong, when they're lying, scheming, or conning. It does not mean that we hand the quarter-ton toddler more soda or buy her cookies, cakes, and snacks. If we truly want our children to flourish, even our adult children, then I think we must make sure that we applaud their successes, encourage them to go for their dreams, and do all we can to be a support system if they fall. But it does not mean we watch them die while we hold the serving dish that's leading them there. I think Rosee is pathetic, but I think she's only as pathetic as her parents helped her become. If you've watched any of her videos, you'll notice that she regularly treats her mother like crap. She backtalks her. She gets a very hateful attitude with her. She's the first to blame her mother for everything that goes wrong in her life. And if we really think about it, she sounds a lot like Amber. Nothing is ever Rosee's fault if it goes wrong, but it's always her independent accomplishment if it turns out right. It's that cognitive bias that just never seems to fail with the girls. Tell me what you think, though. Do you think Rosee's parents hold any type of responsibility for Rosee being the way that she is today? Do you think it's okay that Rosee wheels around in that chair in the kitchen while her mother literally hands her sodas, cakes, cookies, snacks, goes to Sam's Club and buys her the most unhealthy food imaginable? At what point does a parent's responsibility end? Does it stop when a child turns 18, when they're legal adults? Does it continue if the child continues to live inside the parent's home? Where does that responsibility end? How much do you think parents are to blame if they have adult children living inside their home with them, and if they continue to coddle and enable those children to the point that those children continue to fail? And what do you think it says about the parents if they are, in the best of intentions, doing things for Rosee, but they're doing it because they anticipate she's incapable of doing it on her own? What does it really mean when a parent's goodwill or good intentions are only there because they expect their child to fail? In my opinion, that speaks profoundly to them knowing exactly how they raised that child to be. But let me know what you think. If you're new, I'm Birdie, and I thank you for stopping by. To anyone who needs to reach me, just send me an email. I'll be around. Be safe, be loved, love others in return, and no matter what, remember that the world is a better, brighter place because you are in it. I'll see you right here next time. Bye for now.
You're mean to your mom. It hurts my heart. I don't think I'm mean to my mom. Yeah, I know. People are just hating, Mom.
Consider yourself spoiled.
Yeah, I do. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Excuse me.
Oh.